is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
Welcome back into another episode of the One World Away podcast right here on KC Sports Network. Jordan Foote here, Josh Keiser, Joel Penfield. I'm extremely grateful for everyone tuning in. Even more grateful, or perhaps equally as grateful, for Emprise Bank for sponsoring this show. They do wonderful supporting of KC Sports Network's programs here, including our own. Guys, we are, for the YouTube audience, in a little bit of unfamiliar territory here. I don't want to say hostile territory because it's not, but we made the trek down to Arkansas for the Royals exhibition game against the Naturals on Monday. We're recording this about 9:50, 10 p.m. on Monday night. This episode should be going out Wednesday. Hopefully I don't misspeak there and, it gets lost in the space-time continuum. I've rambled for a minute. We'll start with Josh. How's it going, man?
Very good. It was a very awesome time covering the team down here tonight. Some very cool experiences that we could probably elaborate on at some point on this show or in the future. But it was a very, very cool experience, and I am very thankful for both KC Sports Network, Emprise Bank, and all of you folks listening to us right now. I can't thank you enough for making this a possibility. Loving being able to do this.
Joel Penfield, what's up?
Yeah, genuinely one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to do in this media space. It was the closest thing to capital J journalism I'll probably ever get to, but certainly was awesome. We got some awesome sound bites from players, got to interact with them a little bit. I talked with some coaches and be in the press box, catch the game from there, and was just an awesome experience. And we can't thank the Royals enough. And the Northwest Arkansas Naturals, shout out to Sean Mernon for helping us out and getting us down here. And giving us the opportunity to do this. And Ian Kraft from Royals PR is fantastic as well. So overall, just an awesome experience for us. And we're all in one place. We're in this really cool Airbnb. Got a really nice spot here. So it's been awesome. Really cool day.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. All in different parts of the house for the most part. On the rundown, I have it like third, but do we just want to talk sights and sounds? Did anything jump out from the exhibition game? I think for me, at least, just being able to experience talking to players firsthand and chatting with them and getting their accounts of the off season, what they worked on, what their goals are for this year, kind of their recounts of last year, what went right, what went wrong, what they could do better. Just getting that background, I think, is borderline invaluable. Like, that was definitely the thing that, at least for me, jumped out the most.
Yeah, just getting to interact with these guys was awesome because you see them on the field, you hear sound bites, secondhand, and that's one thing. But to be able to ask these guys questions and stand there next to them and be able to have a little conversation was really, really cool, really valuable. And we got, like I said, some really good sound bites, and we look forward to being able to share those with you guys on some platform, YouTube, Twitter, whatever the case may be. And then this is more in the Josh Keiser realm of analysis, but you realize how big these dudes are and how jacked these dudes are when you stand next to them. Like I did about 2.5 minutes with James MacArthur, and he was sitting down, he stood up, and he's 6'7". I'm 5'10" on a good day. I was like, Jesus, man, this is ridiculous. Watched Dairon Blanco and Nelson Velasquez walk by us, and those guys are tanks. Mm-hmm. It just being that close to big leaguers, like you see it, on TV, you may walk by them in the ballpark, but to be that close to them in the dugout, the clubhouse, I was like, man, this is another world.
Yeah. For the video viewers here, I'm going to do something. Here's my impression of Joel and his viewpoint whenever James MacArthur agreed to do an interview with us.
Dude, you're not wrong. That's how it felt. I was like, God dang. And even I got to talk to Matt Sauer as well, Rule 5 pick.
Yeah.
And he's probably 6'4". And he was sitting down when I said, and he stood up, and I was like, okay. At least the good news is I did get to talk to Kyle Isbell and Adam Frazier too, and they're about my height, so that made me feel a little bit better. I was like, okay, cool. There are big leaguers that are my size as well, but of course they're both jacked. So again, there's levels to this.
Yeah, no, it was an awesome time, and that does kind of represent the end of spring training. The Royals are done with that. They went 13-13, -5 run differential. Nick Prado had an OPS well over 1.2. Bobby Witt Jr. played well. Cole Reagans, the ERA wasn't great, but still striking out a ton of guys, had some good performances there. Alec Marsh was a standout. I figured before jumping into the season preview, like some injury updates and stuff like that, we'd give out a spring team MVP award, and mine goes to Nick Prado. I think he just played absolutely fantastic, and I think it was Q that brought it up. He did everything he could to make the team. It wasn't anything to do with him, really. It was just the surrounding talent and the plan for the team. Nick Prado's the team MVP. You could probably go Alec March, I suppose. Maybe one of you two has that, but Prado to have 4 home runs, 13 ribbies, the OPS near 1.3, like video game numbers in that sample for him, and just really put the team on his back, played well, and made a case for some playing time early in the season.
Go ahead, Josh, if you got something.
I think my team MVP for spring training was Bobby Witt Jr. I think we're going to talk a lot about him tonight. He's the talk of town since December 5th? Is that what I declared Bobby Witt Jr. Day? No, it was like February 5th. Yeah. February 5th. Something way closer to where we are now. But, had 53 plate appearances, 4 home runs, 4 strikeouts to 2 walks. He was just hungry. He was there to hit balls, and he absolutely hit balls. He slash, what am I looking at here? 360, 377, and 640. So he was going down there to do 2 things, chew bubble gum and hit baseballs, and he all ran out of bubble gum very early in spring training. So I think he being able to pick up where he left off and finish the year in 2023, rolled that into a great spring training in 2024, hopefully rolling that into a very, very good season, hopefully a next level of Bobby Witt Jr. that we could see in 2024.
Another guy that had a great September that rolled it into a great spring training was the guy that I mentioned earlier, James MacArthur. 1.08 ERA in 7 games, 12 strikeouts to 1 walk, and it was a hit by pitch. So he gave up 1 home run. He was one of only 4 hits that he gave up on the spring. He was fantastic. He looked fantastic tonight. He pitched the 9th inning against the Naturals. Had everything working. The fastball, he talked about working on a cutter. The curveball is as advertised still. For him to pitch well in a very not pitcher-friendly environment in Arizona, definitely something to watch out for as the season starts.
No, 100%. The Royals had a bunch of guys stand out in the spring, and kind of the reality of spring training is not all of them will make the team. Nick Prado was one of them, and Q really talked about there being a little bit of a logjam, and Prado literally doing, quote, did everything he could possibly do. Drew Waters falls into that dynamic as well, and they think that he just needs a little bit more time to get some more at-bats, get more consistent at-bats. He went 8 for 25 in the spring with 3 walks, but he struck out 12 times, kind of the duality of Drew Waters. And then Austin Nola also got optioned after going 5 for 25 with a walk in spring training. The flip side of that, the Royals had some guys that were confirmed to make the team as of Sunday, and we're recording this Monday. Nick Lofton, Darren Blanco, Matt Sauer all made it. Lofton played pretty darn well in his spring training stint. Blanco played okay, was dealing with a little bit of an injury. Sauer, 13 strikeouts to 4 walks, played really well in 10 innings. The Royals just kind of something that I hope other people take away from this podcast, and really just spring training in general. Just because the opening day team has a certain amount of guys or a certain conglomerate of guys doesn't mean they're always going to be on the team all year. Like Nick Prado's going to come back out. These guys, the Royals, especially with Q in the fold, coming from the Tampa background, they're going to use a bunch of different players. And that applies to pitchers, that applies to the starting rotation, that applies to the bullpen, that applies to the lineup, different positions. So I wouldn't buy too much into necessarily guys like Drew Waters, Nick Prado not making it, or necessarily the Blancos of the world definitely making it. They're going to be shuffling, and that's both good and bad. So Josh probably has a little bit more to add to something here, but I think that's my big takeaway from the cutdowns, I guess you could say, before opening day on Thursday.
Yeah, those were the big ones. I think everybody's kind of waiting for those shoes to drop, just to, to solidify the rest of this roster, to route it out in a form and see where we are on opening day. And it also kind of showed me that the Royals are weighing it more heavily on like last year's or how they finished up last year's against major league talent, not necessarily writing off spring training, but still weighing that a little bit more heavily than the spring training stats. I mean, like we said, Nick Prado did everything he definitely could to make this team. Did seem like he flashed a different approach and was a little bit more aggressive, but in the end, they wanted to see more of it at Omaha. And I agree that I think that we do see him in Kansas City at some point, as long as he's able to still maintain that aggressive approach as well as the exit velocity and the contact skills, all that kind of shows up. So it was very interesting to kind of see the final decisions being made, and almost in a very early part. I think they came out pretty quickly after we recorded last week and was like, yeah, I think this is how it's going to go. Angel Zerpa was kind of a surprise, almost like a given he was in there. It wasn't much chirping going on around him. So it's all how it comes into form. This is a 40-plus man team. Everybody's going to be all hands on deck at some point this season. So, I'm anxious to see how we roll in the form and see those lineups being posted on Thursday. I cannot wait.
And the other one that I think had dropped since our last podcast was Alec Marsh winning the 5th starter spot over Jordan Lyles. And that was one we debated pretty heavily throughout the offseason and beginning of spring training is it a given that Jordan Lyles is the 5th starter? Clearly, that was not the case. And now Lyles did have a bit of a back injury that, hampered things a little bit, but that's the fine line that you walk in this business and in this sport, that you get hurt and an opportunity opens up. And that's what it ended up being for Alec Marsh. He seized it. And so he's now the 5th starter in this rotation. That's going to go Reagans, Lugo, Singer, Waka, Alec Marsh. And Jordan Lyles is going to go to the bullpen. And Lyles got hit around a little bit today. So I'll be curious how he ends up being utilized. I bet it's probably in a multi-inning mop-up role would be kind of how I view it, at least early on. And we'll go from there. I bet he spot starts every now and then. But good on the Royals, good on Q, good on JJ for not just giving Jordan Lyles his spot because he's making $7.5 million this year. He had to earn it, and he didn't get it. And Alec Marsh, coming into his first full seasons in the big leagues, now gets that opportunity to be the 5th starter, which is a big deal. And I hope he kills it and, proves the type of guy that he was in the minor leagues and what he can be for this team.
Is it weird to you guys that they have 3 different guys that can give them multiple innings in relief? That seems like
No, I think it's valuable.
It could be.
I think it's very valuable because on those bullpen days, you're not having to go to 7 guys. You can go to maybe 5. And you can go
it's a good
Sauer for a couple innings. You can go Zerpa for a couple innings. You can go Lyles, can give you 2 or 3 if you need it. So I think it gives them a lot more versatility than needing to, lean on maybe a John Schreiber for an inning and 2/3 or a Chris Stratton for 2 innings after he threw an inning the day before, something like that. So it ultimately helps lengthen the bullpen a little bit more. So I think, and Alec Marsh would have been probably using that role anyway, but I'm glad that he's getting the opportunity to start, and Lyles is the one that ends up in the bullpen.
Yeah, it definitely jumped out to me whenever they kind of rounded that bullpen out, especially with like Zerpa being almost a given that he's making the team. Lyles is up in the air, but they were still kind of keeping him up to like 80 to 90 pitches where they want him. And then Matt Sauer has plenty of gas in that tank too. So just kind of made it a little bit interesting to me. Kind of jumped out to me, but wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, 100%. We'll hit some injury updates real quick before we get to a break. Michael Massey dealing with some back tightness. Talks about an IL start to begin the season. Seems like the Royals are very optimistic that should that happen, he'll be ready to roll right after that. So good news on the Michael Massey front. Even better news on the Michael Waka front. He was hit in the hand by, it turns out, a Salvador Perez liner in a Sunday inter-squad game. Right middle finger contusion. X-rays either didn't happen or came back negative. He's good to go and should be in line to make his normally scheduled start. That's what Hugh said on Monday night to us. Carlos Hernandez recently worked a bullpen with that shoulder injury. And then Josh Taylor was hurt last Sunday, the 17th. Bicep soreness, still not making a ton of progress there from everything we've heard. So, guys, any thoughts? I think the standout is definitely Waka being okay and still being in line to make that start. And then I think Massey still has a chance to not have this derail his month of April as the season gets going.
Yeah, huge deal that Michael Waka was not hurt. From what Q said, Waka woke up today and forgot that it really happened. Like, he wasn't concerned about it at all, which means either to me they still get an x-ray and it was negative, or they didn't do anything about it. We saw him briefly in the locker room, and he didn't have any sort of, it wasn't buddy taped up, or he didn't have a splint on it or anything like that. So a really good sign there. It sounds like he's going to start and have no issues when he goes on the 4th game of the regular season.
Something I thought was interesting is I wonder if Q kind of laid it out as Waka is like the number 4 starter for whatever that's worth. So I wonder if that finger contusion had anything to do with it. We kind of thought he'd be a little bit higher in the rotation, but they could be just giving him some more time to, kind of shake that off and recover from that a little bit. But I thought that was interesting that, Waka being the number 4 guy in this rotation, I thought that was a pretty big deal. But he also mentioned, and I wondered about this, I've always wondered about this, that what's the perception of a opening day starter or quote unquote ace compared whenever you're kind of throwing that name around among the other starting pitchers. And I thought Q kind of mentioning that, it's a cool honor, but really it doesn't make any sense. All these guys are going to go out there and do what they're supposed to do whenever they get a chance to do it. So I think that is something that I've always wondered about. I'm glad that you kind of answered that.
Maybe this is just the hopium flowing after kind of being around the team for 8-10 hours like we were. But if Michael Walker's your 4th starter, that's a pretty good rotation. So if Brady Singer lives up to what we believe he can be, that's a pretty high floor for what this rotation can bring if everyone stays healthy.
There's going to be a little bit of hopium flying around. I have a feeling we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, and we're going to do some Royals 2024 predictions. So I'm excited for that, and we'll be back in a second.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
We're back, One Royal Way podcast here on Kansas City Sports Network. Grateful for everybody tuning in. Grateful for Emprise Bank supporting us. Grateful for my pals Joel Penfield, Josh Keiser. We are going to start. How do I have it lined up in the doc? And this is a shame on me for not having that pulled up. Is it Josh, then Joel, then me? Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to do some Royals 2024 predictions. We might snake it. I don't know. But that's just how it lined up in my head. You know how this stuff goes. But we have best hitter, best pitcher, team MVP, most likely to exceed expectations, most likely to fall short of those expectations, and then little team record talk at the tail end of that. Then we'll get into, obviously, MLB awards, MLB playoff teams, World Series picks, all that good stuff. So plenty of local and national ball to talk. But I pitch it to you, Josh Keiser. Who do you think will be the best hitter on the 2024 Kansas City Royals?
The best hitter for the 2024 Kansas City Royals will be Vinny Pasquantino. I think he is the best pure hitter on this team. I think he's got the best, eye compared to bat to ball skills, compared to his approach, compared to his ability to drive balls. I think he's the best pure hitter, even though Bobby Witt Jr. is probably going to be the best all-around player. We might talk about that in a little bit, but I think the best hitter is going to be Vinny Pasquantino. His projections, I've talked about it in the last few weeks, that I thought his projections were still pretty low. Maybe I'm just drinking the opium a little bit more with Vinny Pasquantino, but I do think that we are talking about a potential all-star bid, like Joel mentioned last week, that we could be absolutely seeing with Vinny Pasquantino this year. So I think that's a good possibility, but I do think he's the best hitter in this lineup.
Joel?
So I went with Bobby Witt Jr. I have Vinny very close behind. I debated both of them because I think you could put either one in here and there's a solid argument for it. I'm just going with Bobby because I think he's the most dangerous hitter on this team. He showed at the end of the year, he can hit the home run at the big spot. He can get the clutch hit. His ability once he gets on base is, he's probably going to end up on third by stealing second and third. And he's liable to go deep, at any time at this point. If he's able to walk at a fairly decent rate and be a little more selective, I think the batting average can come up for him pretty significantly. He hit around 280 last year. He can probably start tapping on the door of 300 if he starts being a little more selective and doing damage on the pitches that he knows he can get to.
I like that. I have no qualms with what Joel said. Zips only projects 109 games played for Vinny Pasquantino this season. 123 WRC plus. Steamer is a 129 and 136 games. I feel like that's a lot more realistic with 11% walk rate, 13% K rate, 25 home runs. Like, I would be surprised if his numbers weren't more in line with that. 849 OPS. I lean that might be the best hitter on the team. Like, Bobby Witt Jr. is going to be close, and like take everything Joel said about close behind and just flip it. Different player. I think they're going to be, I'd be majorly surprised if they weren't the top 2 hitters in some order on the team. I'll just go WRC plus standards. Maybe it's Pasquantino. Just overall, I think there's also some inherent, not that he's a bad defender, but he's not going to give you the overall like F4 value of the Bobby Witt Jr. Because of that probably factors into whether we want to admit it or not. We want to give him something, and best hitter seems to be a very deserving one. Now, pitching side, I think we all have the same pick. Joel, I'll give it to you first. You think it's going to be the guy we all think it's going to be?
Yeah, it's Cole Reagans. I mean, he's the opening day starter for a reason. What he showed down the stretch last year was significant. Showed why the Royals traded for him. If you want to hear more about what JJ's thought about his ascent as a player, you should go listen to the podcast that came out today.
Perfect.
Recording.
I
got
so good.
JJ Piccolo gave me about 20 minutes of his time in between meetings there on Friday, and got to talk to him. And I asked him about when you trade for a player like that, you obviously believe in him because you want him in that trade. You're willing to give up assets to get him. But even in your most optimistic scenarios, did you envision this? And he gave me a really candid, very interesting answer that I didn't necessarily expect him to say. But be sure to go check that out.
Yeah, Cole Reagans with a bullet. It's tough to envision anyone else, and I'm going to knock on everything wooden in my reach.
Pause. We taught Josh on the way down to Arkansas what pause is all about. So
you just taught Josh a lot of things on the way down.
Yeah, we got him caught up on the lingo.
Okay, so if we're all going to go with Reagans, is there another name not Reagans that you could consider in this spot?
No. No. Seth Lugo, maybe if he pitches like 165 innings or something like that, but nah. Yeah, it's Reagans. Do you think a reliever who's going to be dominant? If you think they're going to have a downright dominant reliever, like James MacArthur or something on the back end.
That's the angle I was going to take, and I think that if you are going to go that route, I think it's going to be a James MacArthur type.
Yeah.
If he is able to replicate what he did in September last year, and he's not going to have a 0.00 ERA for the whole. That's not going to happen.
Sure about that?
But I think he can sit around sub 2, maybe low 2s. And if he's able to do that at the back end, I think you can consider him in that spot, given the leverage that he pitches in the back end of a game. But I think Reagan's just over the course of a season, there's a reason why he's the guy.
Yeah,
I'd throw a caveat in there too. We've seen how good Brady Singer can be with just a slider and just a sinker. And he told us tonight that his four seam was his best pitch tonight. So if he's added, it is just a four seam, but it is another pitch. He's also got the new sweeper. He's also got the change that he's messing with. So if there's another gear within Brady Singer, we know how good he can be with just 2 pitches, but how is he with 3? How is he with 4? How is he with 5? And if the answer is he can control all of those, keep them all in the strike zone, and keep hitters on that much more off of their balance, then I think there's definitely a reality where Brady Singer is the guy we're talking about at the end of the year that is really the anchor of the staff. So there is a non-zero chance that it's Brady Singer. I think he's got a good chance. He's just got to put it together.
The Steamer projections for Cole Reagans this season: 177 innings, ERA just under 4, 2.6 F4. That seems a little janky. It would obviously be greater than that, I think, but Cole Reagans. It's to pick. Excuse me as I'm coughing. I tried to fight that off so hard. Team MVP, I'm going to take this one. I mean, not like we're going to have a different pick, but it's going to be Bobby Jr. Last year, worth almost 6 wins. And really, if he would have kept that pace up for the full season, easily would have cleared that 6 mark. He was absolutely outstanding. Zips and Steamer both have him under 5 wins this season. I feel like that would be a little bit of an iffy, the WRC Plus is 113 and 120 respectively for those two. I think
it just feels so low. It feels so low.
I think if he did anything other than replicate what he did last year, people would be disappointed. And even then, if he posted a 115 WRC Plus 813 OPS with roughly 6 wins, people would be like, man, Bobby Wood Jr. didn't take that next step. I'm like, he'd still be a damn good player and he'd still be a clear star, best player on the team. So I don't think he can lose necessarily in this scenario. I think just having a 2023 Bobby Wood Jr. season would put him as clearly the team MVP. And I also believe there's probably another step for him where he can be that true, instead of clear star level player, he can be that clear superstar level elite, league-wide face type player. And I think this season, maybe next season, maybe the year after that, but these are the years where you can start counting on something like that to happen. And it begins with a pretty good 2024.
And he seems like the type of guy that, is there, when you give a guy a big contract, it can sometimes go down 2 paths. The guy gets comfy because he's paid and doesn't have to worry about it anymore. And you have the guys like Bobby, that I think he's on this path that is, okay, I got my money, now I need to go out and prove it. And I need to hit that next year and prove that I'm worth, the contract that I just got. And he seemed like, I caught a little bit of his media availability. Jordan, I know you heard it. Maybe you can attest to this. He seems just dialed in and ready to go. And the mindset is there. And you can see it at the plate. He looks really comfortable right now. He's driving the ball all over the place. I think he's going to hit that extra gear. And now 2 full years under his belt, we could see something special this year.
Currently number 6, the 6th highest favorite for AL MVP, behind Aaron Judge, Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto, Yordan Alvarez, and Corey Seager.
That's good company.
That is very, very fun company. Yeah, that's where I'm headed with this. The fact that we are talking about a potential MVP candidate and have good reason to. This isn't just us blowing smoke. This isn't us just overdosing on the opium. This is legitimate national notoriety, an actual candidate that we can be excited for. This is a dude that can be a dude. This isn't just us blowing smoke. And I just can't believe that we're in this position, despite all the shortcomings and all the dark ages that we've seen as Royals fans over the last 5 or 6 years. We do have a guy that we can actually hope on, that we developed from this farm system. He's the dude. It's very fun to see. Team MVP, Bobby Wood Jr.
I'm excited for this one. Really, these next 3, for the most part. Josh, I'm kicking it back to you. Which Kansas City Royal pitcher or position player is most likely to exceed expectations in 2024?
I have MJ Melendez. I think as an overall value, his bat came along quite nicely in the back half of the 2023 season. Left quite a bit to be desired in the outfield and his defense. I think that what we've seen from his spring training and he's made further adjustments to his swing and kind of simplified those a little bit more as well. So he's still making adjustments. They are still producing. So I think that he has lost no momentum on that front. And he, by all reports, has made plenty of strides in the defensive outfield realm. I don't know about, I shouldn't say strides. He has worked on it quite a bit. We'll yet to be seen what kind of defense he has. And if he becomes that dude, I think we've talked about it. I've talked about it, that he might just be a platoon guy. He's not very good against left-handed hitting or left-handed pitching. But if he does kind of take the next step and turn the corner, cliche, that he could actually be a dude that it absolutely helps this lineup, deepens this lineup, and pushes this team over the next few years. So I think MJ Melendez is going to be the guy to exceed expectations whenever his bat has come along and is real and his defense is at least average. So we'll have to see how that goes, but that's where I'm at.
Joel?
But one point on MJ in the game tonight, I don't know if it was able to even be watched at all, but MJ in his first 2 at-bats scalded a couple of balls. I mean, we obviously didn't have the StatCast, so we couldn't see. They had to have been 105 or better. I mean, they were just crushed, and I was like, man, if he finds that extra gear, this lineup, like the potential of this lineup grows significantly. Remains to be seen if he'll be able to put it together, but it's something to dream on for sure. I'm going Vinny Pasquantino for my guy that exceeds expectations. If he stays healthy, he's an all-star. I said it last week. Like he is that good of a hitter. He has that good of an eye, and the power production, I think, will come back and be there with more regularity because he'll have a healthy shoulder for the first time in over a year. So he's your everyday first baseman. There's no question there. And I really believe he can be a significant piece to this lineup and be that type of 25, 30 home run first baseman we haven't had in quite a while.
I think it's Nick Lofton. I'm buying the Nick Lofton
That's
stuff.
a good
Steamer for him, like I'm kind of cheating because like Steamer might not be the way we all went with it. And I think literally too, but projects a 706 OPS and a 91 WRC plus. Look, Nick Lofton looked great in spring training. I think second base is one of the weaker positions in terms of like job security on the team. Unfortunately, Michael Massey is injured, so that could impact the beginning of the season timeline for Nick Lofton. I think he could just take the job this year at some point. Nick Lofton, I just buy the batted ball profile, and I think he makes solid enough contact to where he's not going to be like a slugger per se, but I see he's a really solid ball player, and he's going to be what people, I think, have kind of wanted Michael Massey to be, like the relatively high floor type guy where he's not giving you the most ceiling. That doesn't have to be Nick Lofton, but I think he gives you damn solid defense. I think he gives you damn solid production at the plate. And that, compared to the expectations, no one's talking about Nick Lofton, I don't think. It's really been a lot of talking about other players, and the stats match up with it. So I didn't think coming into this exercise that I was going to pick Nick Lofton, Thick Lofton, if you will, to be my guy. But I guess I'm hitching my wagon to that pick.
Love it.
I like that a lot, actually. But once you said it, I was like, yeah,
Sure.
I could see that for sure. And again, recency, just because we saw it, crushed the ball tonight off Will Klein to right field.
Yeah.
That we were talking about, like, is he going to go yard here? And he almost did to right field. I was like, holy cow, okay. Yeah.
Let's go back to Joel for most likely to fall short of expectations as you're taking a good sip of that. What's the beer that we're drinking for this podcast?
We're drinking La Brea. It's a brown ale from Fossil Co. Brewing in Fayetteville. Shout out to our
pretty damn good.
Our host left this in the fridge for us, so shout out to them. That was awesome. Really, really good. So my guy that I have fallen short of expectation is Hunter Renfroe. The spring has not been great. I know we got a little bit of a late start because of an injury, but then again, that's part of it. I just don't know at this point. Like, he was really good in 2022. He was not as good in 2023. And it's just a big question mark for me. And I think that's the only thing. I obviously hope that he helps stabilize the lineup as a right-handed hitter. But you saw Nelson Velasquez that can come in and play right field. Nick Lofton can. Nick Prado maybe can if they want to get a lefty in there. So if he struggles, like, there are going to be guys that can take those at-bats pretty easily. And I don't think the Royals would hesitate to do that. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes for him.
Josh, what do you think? Who's your pick?
Oh, most likely
Uh-oh.
fall short of expectations in this season. I gave it a lot of thought.
As he's walking over for our, oh my God, for our audio listeners, he's walking into the closet and shutting himself inside of it.
I'm gonna say,
oh my gosh,
Cole Reagans.
Wow.
Is that okay to say?
You know, come out of the closet, Josh. It's okay.
Okay. So here's my thinking on this. Stay with me.
Okay.
Don't burn me at the stake. Okay.
I will.
we have a man who is very talented. He is a very, very good pitcher. He has had injury concerns in the past. He has had command issues in the past. We have a small-ish sample size on how good he can actually be. We are putting him on a pedestal to be a Cy Young candidate. Rightfully so. Like I said, he is very good. He could have a very good season for the Royals and still fall short of expectations. And I think that all those things kind of line up
when you put it that way,
on top of each other. I think that our lofty expectations of him being a Cy Young candidate are very unlikely to be met. I mean, his 2024 Zips projections have him as the 57th best FIP of starting pitchers in the Major League Baseball. So they don't believe in it. Everybody in Kansas City is hoping for it, and we're kind of just going off of that. Like I said, he's a very, very good pitcher with the stuff to be a superstar in this league. We just have to make sure that this is the case, not get those expectations too high until they're actually sustained over long sample size. So that's where I'm at with Cole Reagans. I love Cole Reagans. I think he could be the guy, but he's just got to be the guy before we get there.
So you still believe he's going to be the best pitcher on the team, but it's not to the level that we want to think he'll.
Correct. I think he could have a very good season and still fall short of the lofty expectations that we are.
So, okay, I want to put you on the spot here.
Let's go.
Predict
getting the clock again.
Predict his ERA and like strikeout to walk ratio.
Oh.
And I guess innings if you want to go there. But I'm just curious, like, what's your thinking if you think that he's not going to be the type of guy that, like, the high level guys think he could be?
I think he could have an ERA around 4.2, which is, again, very high starting pitcher performance, especially one that coming out of the Kansas City Royals organization. I think that we would all be probably okay with a 4.2 ERA, but I just have there's a lot of red flags I can't ignore just because I'm a sunshine pumping enthusiast, optimist. So that's kind of where I'm at. A K to walk ratio, like I said, those command issues are there, but I think that his K rate is going to be higher than the projections kind of give him. But I'm just worried about that walk ratio.
The reason I was so surprised to start off is like what Josh outlined to begin with is like kind of my expectation for Cole Reagans. So like when you said fall short, I was like, damn, so he's just going to be a bum. But like the general expectation is that he's going to be a Cy Young candidate. I don't share that expectation. I think he'll be easily the best pitcher on the Royals, but necessarily he doesn't have to be a Cy Young candidate. However, I'm thinking like 3.7 ERA, like still really good, maybe even 3.5. Like he's going to have a damn good season. I don't think he's going to be downright elite, like he was in a triple S last year. You guys know what that stands for by now. And granted, it was still growing by the year, and he finished pretty well. But I think Cole Reagans is going to still be good. The guy I am struggling to buy in with, even with the changes in the second half of last season, I think MJ Melendez is being set up for failure. Last second half, now first half 68 WRC plus, just was not hitting the ball well at all. Second half, the power was there, the on base percentage was there. He struck out a little bit less. Like he was genuinely a good player in the second half. Zips projects him to be worth 0.2 F4. Steamer 1.4. Like I'm not going to get into all the crazy numbers, but I think he will hit the statistical expectations for him, but that's going to fall short of what a lot of people think he's going to be, and that's a star level player. I don't think the defensive improvement is going to be legitimate enough. I think the offense is just going to be good, not great, and that's going to make him just a solid player, and people are expecting him to like step into the core conversation and like the core like cementing himself there. I just don't think he's going to do that. I still think he's going to be a solid player. I still think he'll be better markedly than he was in 2023. But I think it also says more about the expectations than really the player that's still going to have a fine 2024.
It's wild looking at Fangraphs and seeing the Zips versus Steamer projections.
Yeah.
It's drastic. So you just read the Zips. So I'll go to Steamer really quick just for some perspective. They have him slashing 242, 332, 436 with a 107 WRC plus, 1.4 F4, 25% strikeout rate, 12% K rate, 22.
Yeah. Well, and the OPS for Zips is higher. The WRC plus is higher. Steamer just buys into the defense more, it seems, by a significant margin. Which that could be the swing.
But I think you could middle that and be around 0.7.
Yeah.
And I think you'd be fine there. Because to me, if he hits the way we think he can, if the second half adjustments were real and some of what we've seen in spring training, then he's going to hit enough to where the defense just needs to be passable and be not dead weight. And at that point, you're able to live with that.
Yeah. No,
I don't know if you heard me, Jordan. I said he was going to exceed expectations, and I will hear nothing less.
Okay. I'm fine with that. I think Josh is going to exceed my expectation on this one. Just a guess. Not that we talked about it earlier. I actually want Josh to go last, frankly. I'll start. I'll be the hater, quote unquote. Team record. Last year I predicted 74 and 88. I went back and saw the tape. I think they go 73 and 89 this season. I think the rotation's going to be notably better. I think the lineup with health is going to be more consistent. I think the bullpen will be less bad, if not even slightly good. They're going to win 17 more games than they did in 2023. When you frame it that way, you're like, damn, Jordan really thinks the Royals are going to be good, but they were just so bad record-wise last year that I don't think a 20-win improvement is in the cards for this team. I think they're going to come close to that. I think this is a good bridge year to a 2025 in which you legitimately expect 500 or better and contention for a postseason spot. But I think even with the offseason they had, I would be surprised, floored, even if they won the AL Central, even at an 83, 84 wins. I wouldn't be too shocked that they pushed for 80, like a 77, but I think they're going to slot in a little bit lower than that, still be a lot better. Don't get me wrong. They made a lot of good moves, but just a ton of ground to make up from where they were at the end of last year.
So I have them at 74 and 88. So we're pretty much in lockstep there, Jordan, pretty similar. And I know on the surface, it's man, another losing season. It would be an 18-win improvement from last year.
Yeah.
Which, bare bones, true assessment of what they had to spending over $100 million in free agency and locking up Bobby Witt Jr. There was a ton of steps in the right direction on all fronts. So I think that's where we're heading. I think, and I might be a little on the low end. I do think they could push a little more than that, especially if guys stay healthy, and that's mainly on the pitching side. But I'm just going to kind of be conservative with it and go from there. But I think 74 and 88 is a good spot to be.
Let's hear it, Josh. Come on. Before we
get to the moment of truth, I want to speak to something that Jordan said something about. You think this is going to be a bridge year. Joel, it kind of sound like you echoed that with the echo of his, the record here. What does 2025 look like where they needed to add? Where are you adding? Considering, let's just say that all the projections are correct in this whole team, say it all plays out like they think it does. Where are they adding next year to move over the hump and get into contention?
Outfield and probably one more rotation spot.
Outfield, a rotation spot, maybe two rotation spots. The bullpen, obviously, that's not going to make a tremendous difference. Maybe second base, but I don't think so. Maybe third base, but I don't think so. Really not a lot. And part of it is just development, I think. And you're probably going to get the best version or close to it of a few players in that core. But getting, 10 more wins to compete depending on the projection. And I think you get one or two from Bobby Witt Jr., one or two from Vinny Pasquantino. It adds up pretty quickly and easily. But it's not a lot. It's not a lot. The core that should play well this year would also parlay itself into 2025.
That's kind of where my head's at. That's there's not this core either has to be it or nothing is going to change. we are going to keep doing this cycle. So it's got to be, it's up to this core. Like, I think I've got a projected $119 million payroll to this year's $114 million payroll. The rotation that you're talking about is probably, if it's not going well, Walker's not opting out. You still got Lugo. You still got Reagan. So there's three of them. So you're kicking out Singer at that point. You're kicking out Alec Marsh, Daniel Lynch, Chris Bubich. All these guys are not going to work out. You need to bring in some new blood at that point. So that's kind of where I'm headed with this, is like, it's not going to be a great free agent fix at that point. So I'm going to be very curious that if we are talking about a 74-win team, how we get to this point where we're getting over the hump and what that looks like next offseason. Because that's when things are really going to start having to act with urgency, I think. That being said, the Royals are going to win 78 games this year. They're going to go 78-84. I hate that I'm the optimist and making a 78-win team, and that is going to seem outlandish for everything that they did. They were voted like one of the teams that were going to be sneaking up on people, and that's just a massive, massive improvement to go from, a 57-win team to 78. But I have faith. Go ahead.
No, I don't think it's outlandish. I don't.
It's in the realm of possibilities.
Yes. I think 82-80 is in the realm of possibility. It's a low percentile outcome, but it's there. And even last year, but we did not think it was going to be a disaster last year, but it ended up being that. But we didn't really think that a 500 record was even a 20th percentile outcome last year. Mm-hmm. I think it's closer to that this year, and that's an improvement in and of itself. That we can at least see it's on the board. It's not there. It might be a triple 20, but it's there,
Yeah. I think that 78 win is kind of a conservative, optimistic viewpoint. That might be my motto for life, is conservative.
Sure, I get it.
But I think that is a conservative, optimistic prediction with, if they get some of that returning karma coming back their way that they had last year from an awful injury year, from awful production, from performance, from just not having the veteran leadership that they have now, not having the right outlook on what they could be, not having the right priorities of winning should be over everything, not your individual performances or whatever. I think that a lot of that is going to come back. The water will find its level, and we could potentially, not out of the realm of possibilities, an 82 and 80 team could potentially be contending for that AL Central division title at that point. So we'll be hopefully talking about a team that is in contention all year right here on Kansas City Sports Network.
Let's do elevator pitches, 30, 45-second rapid fire, relatively. I mean, for us, rapid fire. For American League awards, National League awards, and then we can get into playoff teams and maybe expand a little bit more on that, and then finish up with some prop bets. So we still have plenty to cover and not a lot of time to do it, but I'll kick off. I have Corey Seager winning the American League MVP award, the runner-up from last year, 169 WRC plus. I think Texas will be in playoff contention. He'll turn 30 in April, so right in the prime of his career. I'd like to know the history of guys that were runner-up and then came back and the next year how they did. But I think Corey Seager is going to have just a bonkers type of year. And with Shohei Ohtani going to the National League, I think that it could benefit him and that he could make a really good run at it.
Love that. Go ahead, Joe.
So I got Juan Soto going and winning American League MVP. I know Aaron Judge is on his team, and that may still votes from him, but the contract year is undefeated. He's one of the best hitters, if not the best hitter in the sport, and he's playing at Yankee Stadium short porch in left field, and I think he could his career high is only 34, 35 home runs. I think he could sniff 50 in all those AL East ballparks this year, and he's going to go and get a $500 million contract this offseason at 26 years old.
Your thought process is right there with I'm with Juan Soto as the AL MVP as well. I think that Aaron Judge is the AL favorite, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
That he's already beamed up, which is very interesting. So if we're already starting the year with Aaron Judge and they're expecting him to play center field for whatever reason, I think that there will be ample opportunity for Juan Soto to go lead this team and win that AL MVP title. So give me Juan Soto as well.
Back at you, Josh, for Cy Young in the American League.
Short and sweet, I think it's Corbin Burns. Him being traded to Baltimore, who won the AL East. People forget, I forgot, that Corbin Burns was what that rotation was missing. I think he's going to absolutely lead that staff, lead the league in strikeouts potentially. I like Corbin Burns to win AL Cy Young.
Joel?
So I've got George Kirby of the Seattle Mariners. I had Luis Castillo last year and was not a bad pick. But I think Kirby is probably the best pitcher in that rotation. And the ability to strike guys out, for those that may not have watched him, go watch him this year. He is Greg Maddux that throws 97 miles an hour.
Mm.
And I'm serious. In his career, 320 and 2/3 innings over the past 2 seasons, that's 56 starts, 305 strikeouts to 41 walks.
That's insane.
He does not allow free passes, and he has his ERA right is a career 3.37. So he's not allowing a ton of runs either. He is one of the best pitchers in baseball. Not enough people are talking about.
I'm sticking in the AL Central for this one local division. I'm going Pablo Lopez. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on him.
Yeah,
he experienced the 30-point jump in BABIP last year. Still had a 3.33 FIP, 3.66 ERA. Struck out more than 10 guys per 9. He's in his age 28 season. I think this could be his best one yet, and that in the American League, I think, competes for it. And I'm going to kick it back to Joel for this lightning round rant about Jackson Holliday for Rookie of the Year.
Jackson Holliday shouldn't be in the big leagues right now. The fact that the Orioles are doing the service time manipulation thing is complete bullshit. This is what he did last year at low A, high A, double A, and triple A. Weighted runs created plus 226, 162, 154, and he had a 109 in 18 games, and I know that will be better. And he also
walked 18% of the time.
At 19 years old. And that, by the way, he was 19 years old for that entire season. He's 20 years old this year in spring training. He had a 147 WRC plus. But sure, he needs to go and hit some more left-handed pitching in Norfolk. Screw off.
Josh, I have the same. Ditto.
You did, yeah. I definitely gave him a hard look. He's definitely in that for me. I'm going to go with Evan Carter. I think that he is
really good.
Got the profile very good. I think his predecessor, his teammate Wyatt Langford, is the current AL favorite for Rookie of the Year. But I like what Evan Carter's profile is. His BABIP is just pure insanity as far as how good it is, but it was sustained over all the minor league levels, so I think we can expect it to be pretty high. So I think that Evan Carter is going to be the guy to get the AL MVP. Had some time in the majors last year, so I got that under his belt. Played on the big stage in the postseason, so give me some Evan Carter on that front. I guess
MVP.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I went with him last year. I almost predicted, I think I said a 50-70 season for Ronald Acuna, and I came real darn close. So I'm going Ronald Acuna double dipping and repeating his NL MVP just because he's so good, guys. He is so very good. So give me Ronald Acuna for NL MVP.
I've got the same.
So I'm going against the grain. I'm going with Bryce Harper. I think he's so good, and I hope that he stays healthy for this season. He's a year removed now fully from the Tommy John surgery. If he's able to sustain anything like that, I think he's a very live candidate to win NL MVP.
Who's your Cy Young?
I am going with, I lost it, and oh no. I think
Spencer?
No, actually, I don't have Spencer Strider. I'm going with Tyler Glass now.
I like that.
So it's a little bit of a dog. He's 14-1 on DraftKings. Getting away from Tampa, I think, might actually be good for his health.
Sure.
And because I think that the Dodgers will utilize him in a solid way. The strikeout production is ridiculous. And when he is on and when he's healthy, he's a top 5 pitcher in the sport. So if he's able to stay healthy for a full season in the National League, I think he's going to be able to win it. I think it's a sneaky one. Strider is, I know, live, and I bet you guys probably have him. I know at least one of you does.
Yep.
Spencer Strider, I hardly know them.
That's been one we're away, by the way, guys. Thank you for listening. No, I've also got Spencer. he's entering his age 25 season. I don't know why I keep bringing up guys' ages, but like I'm just big in the prime and like the aging arc. And obviously baseball is a little bit different sometimes. But if you're a pitcher wins guy, he was 20-5 last year. I don't really give a crap about that, but still pretty impressive. Pitched 100 innings. Yeah, I don't think it matters, but it looks nice on paper. He just strikes out so many guys. And
he has 400. He has 483 strikeouts and 302 and 2/3 innings in his career.
I didn't have to think twice about it.
Like we are not this is not betting advice. It's not gambling advice. But whatever the number is at whatever book you use for his strikeout prop, just take the over.
Yeah,
I know. At DraftKings is 245.5 over. Like he's gonna flirt with 300 this year. Have you seen his curveball?
Really good.
He throws a curveball now. He was doing this with a fastball and a slider, and now he has a curveball.
Yeah. Rookie of the year, Yamamoto. Everybody. Or is it someone different?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Josh, you didn't sound very enthused. Is it because he's in LA?
He's a leader of the Dodgers.
It's the Dodgers. Yeah. They should all be in jail. Yes. Every one of them should be in jail.
I will say, so I have glass on, but I did sprinkle Yamamoto for Cy Young as well, because I do believe he is going to be that good. I know he got touched up in his first start against the Padres, as far as over the course of a full season, I think he's going to be really good. And I sprinkled his over strikeout prop as well.
You said, who cares about him getting shelled? This guy does. I dancing in the streets.
I hate the Dodgers. We will talk about them here with playoff predictions. Did we go chalk? I think me and Joel did in the American League. Orioles in the East, Twins in the Central, Rangers in the West.
Central. I did not go Rangers in the West. I actually went Mariners.
Oh, well, shit. I guess I was the only one that went with what I thought was chalk. Josh?
I went Yankees in the East, Guardians. So I like their staff a lot. Shocker, I know. They really know how to turn out those pitchers. And again, begrudgingly, I went Astros out of the West.
So
I worry about the Astros rotation.
I have them as a wild card team because of that. Yeah. I saw them making it, but as a wild card.
I don't even have them making. I don't have them making it.
The American League is stacked.
The American League is so stacked. So I have the Mariners winning the West. I think they're going to pitch. That's the biggest thing. They'll just find a way. Their starters and relievers have been so good over the last few years. They're able to get consistent hits out of second base with Jorge Polanco. That lineup lengthens significantly. Julio is live for MVP as well in the American League. Wild cards, I have the Rangers, the Rays, and the Blue Jays. I know people are thinking the Rays again. Yes, you don't question the Rays. They're going to BS their way to 90 wins. They just are going to do it. And until they prove me wrong and don't make it, I'm going to just keep betting on the Rays.
I have the Yankees. Oh, sorry, Josh. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
I have the Yankees as a wild card. I have Houston as a wild card, and I have Seattle as a wild card. So I'm leaving out Toronto. I'm leaving out Tampa Bay. Like, there's so many teams that I'm like, man, they should be in, but like, there's only so many spots.
I'm fading the Yankees so hard.
I want to, but like, they just on paper look so good.
Well, not with Garrett Cole out for almost 2 months.
That's the difference between division and wild card.
And his knee's already barking, and they're going to ask him to play center field.
Yeah.
Like,
I can see him put them on his back and take them across the finish line.
Is going to be awesome. Juan Soto, but then, once they stop pitching to him, and his on base percentage will probably still be like 550. So I guess that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I begrudgingly took 4 teams in the AL East to make the playoffs.
Wow.
Yankees, Rays, Orioles, Blue Jays. They're not going to see each other. They're just going to beat the ever-living shit out of the Red Sox over and over and over again.
At least, like, I will say, like, we're obviously coming off a rough season. We are not as down bad as the Red Sox now, which is a pretty nice feeling to have.
You talk about that team purposely tanking. It's just bonkers. And I know there are plenty of passionate Red Sox fans out there just hating, and they should. But whatever.
So let's do it differently for the National League. Let's go back to Josh and just give your entire slate of playoff teams in the NL.
I went Braves out of the East, I went the criminal Dodgers out of the West, and I went Chicago Cubs winning the NL Central. Out of the wild cards, I took the Phillies, the Giants, and the Reds.
Wow.
Reds hard.
How good the AL is, I think, is the opposite of the NL. I think we had like 10 teams that we could really see making the postseason in the AL. I think there are like 4 teams that I'm very confident in the NL. So since somebody's got to do it, I think the Giants, the Reds are bringing in that those final wild card spots with the Cubs making it back as well. I like their farm system, and they got a good run here. So we'll see how it goes.
Joel, for the sake of continuity, I'll just piggyback Josh. I have the same division winners, the Braves, Cubs, Dodgers. I also have the Phillies and Giants. I have the Brewers making it in over like the D-backs, the Reds, like a team like that. Like you can kind of squint and see a few teams. Milwaukee, I think they're going to be able to pitch and defend their way in. Like I'm a little bit iffy on the rotation. I'm a little bit. I have the least confidence in them. Like I don't think the Giants are going to be good necessarily, but I think they'll be barely good enough to get in. I'm kind of in that same boat with Milwaukee, but like it's a very uninspiring group, but I have almost the same 5 out of the 6 equal to Josh.
So I have the exact same division winners, Braves, Cubs, Dodgers. Feels chalky, probably about how it's going to go though. And then I had the Phillies, the Diamondbacks, and the Giants. And I don't necessarily believe in the Giants. I kind of flipped a coin between them and the Brewers. But the reason I'm going with the Giants is I know they're going to pitch. And in October, that's what matters. It's also an even year, so we know that what the Giants do. Yeah. And they have Bob Melvin now as their manager. And I think Bo Mel's a hell of a guy to lead a club. So that's where I'll go there. World Series, what do you guys got?
I have the Atlanta Braves triumphing over the Texas Rangers, who are going to get all the way back and compete for it, but fall just short. The Braves are just too good. It's going to be their time. Last year, they didn't have the postseason I expected them to necessarily have, but I'm going to not double down on the Yankees for the second year in a row. I'm going with a logical pick, at least something I think is logical, and probably fade that, but I'll go Braves over Rangers. I don't really have a series prediction like in terms of games, but I'll just go with that for the outcome.
I want to go back. I think last year we all like the big sort of shocking pick with the Padres. So RIP to the Chicago Cubs and your run at the postseason, because that is toast.
You're probably right.
We can get it to you. Sorry, not sorry. It's going to be Braves over the Toronto Blue Jays in the World Series. I'm going to say in 6 games. I think the Braves combination of Acuna and Spencer Strider is going to overset the Bo Bichette, and I think the Vlad Jr. comeback year is upon us. So I think it'll be Braves, Blue Jays, and Braves coming out.
I'm going Dodgers over Rangers. The Dodgers are always so freaking good, man. Like, the top 3, like a top 3 in a lineup of Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts is the best I've ever seen. It just is.
I thought you said Freddie for me for a second. I was like, damn, that's quite the jump.
Freddie for. I mean, I might have said Freddie for me. I meant Freddie. You know what I meant.
I did the other way.
Yeah,
honestly.
I don't remember what I said. It's late.
It's tough. It's tough to win the World Series when you're in handcuffs, Joel.
Yeah, you'll never catch me picking those bozo fraud son of a. I'm going to get fired up.
And like, if they don't, to me, if they don't win it this year, then I don't know when they're going to win it. And I guess you could say that next year if Shohei pitches, then that might be like if they don't win it next year, then I don't think they're ever going to. But I think they're going to get it done this year. It's going to.
Pardon my French. The baseball gods will not let those fucks win this World Series this year. I'm sorry. Let's do prop bets for Nugget of the Week. Everybody had prop bets, 1 Royals, 1, 2 MLB ones. I'm going to give my Royals pick courtesy of Josh Keiser. He listed this in the show notes and I stole it from him. For whatever reason, Bobby Witt Jr. is plus 130 to have a 30-30 season. Seems like relatively free money for me. So I know that this is, I almost called it betting advice. This is not betting advice, but betting content from me and betting, inclinations here, but it seems like relatively free money. And that's easy to say, but Bobby Witt Jr. is going to get 30 stolen bases if he's healthy. You could maybe question 30 home runs, but I think if he's playing 150 games or whatever, that it's going to happen. So that's my Royals prop bet for 2024. Courtesy of Josh Keiser, by the way.
Well, what were your two MLB ones?
I've got Bo Bichette to lead the league in hits. He was 9th last year. Zips projects him to lead the league with 179 in 2024. He relies on a pretty high BABIP, but like a pretty consistent 300 hitter. Doesn't walk very much, so he's going to take some hacks, and he looked really sharp in spring training. So I think Bo Bichette is in for a good year. Then I think Spencer Torkelson over 29.5 home runs at plus 100. Bo Bichette, by the way, is plus 1,100 to lead the league in hits. So
I love that value. That's great.
And I believe Torkelson hit 31 last season. So projected 33 by Zips, 30 by Steamer. I think if he's healthy and he's playing, he's going to top 29.5. Not the most inspiring spring training, but I believe in Torque forks up. He is my second MLB prop bet.
What do you got, John?
I'll roll. I got two Royals ones, and one is kind of made up, and then one MLB one. The Vinny Pasquantino over, I think. So the Zips depth chart projection is 21 home runs. We've talked about Steamer. I think has him at 25. I think that should be an over on 25 even. I think he's going to hit north of that. So if you can get a prop bet on Vinny Pasquantino over 25 home runs, I like that a lot. I'm going to give my MLB. I'm very proud of my other one. Juan Soto, plus 1,000 to lead the majors in home runs. I think he's in the bandbox. He's going to hit a lot to that stupid short porch in New York. I think he's got very good odds to lead the majors in home runs. So give me Juan Soto plus 1,000. We're a Royals podcast, boys. I don't know if you know that. Bobby Witt Jr. is plus 1,800 to lead the majors in hits. Here's why he is going to come up and get that. He does not walk. He does not strike out. He is going to make all the hits. He is going to hit the ball very hard. Hey, did you guys know he's also very fast? He can outrun those infield singles and turn them into singles. He can, he's going to play every damn game until his face falls off. So I think he's going to be in the lineup. He's got the skill set. He's got the contact skills. He doesn't really want to walk or strike out. So I think that he has really good odds at plus 1,800 to lead the majors in hits.
I like that. He was sneaky, like in the top 5 of hits last year, and you didn't really think about it until later in the year.
Yep.
So I like that one. I'll go quickly on mine because I know we're running short on time. So my Royals one is I have Bobby Witt Jr. to lead the league in triples at 6-1 and plus 600. Corbin Carroll's 5-1. Bobby led the league in triples last year. Would not be shocked if he did it again this year. And playing in the big parks in the AL Central, especially Detroit and Kansas City, he hits the ball in the gap. It's 3. Like it just is. So I like that one a lot. My other two, I have Estuary Ruiz, former Royals prospect, now with the Oakland A's. Over 49.5 stolen bases at minus 115. I know it's not like a crazy value pick, but he had 67 last year. So the fact that you're giving me, he basically needs to get to 50. Yeah, I think he's going to be able to do that. And then my last one, and I think this is our only under that we did here. I have Ellie De La Cruz under 21.5 home runs at even money at plus 100. I am fading Ellie De La Cruz. I think he is electric and awesome. He's only projected for a 95 WRC plus.
Shame.
And the projection has him at 24, but he's still going to strike out over 30%. He had an 84 WRC plus last year. I think he could get exposed, and it could be an issue for the Reds.
That's playoff bound Reds to you, Joel.
That is white hot.
White hot. Playoffs if he gets exposed. Yeah. I think he's due for a bounce back, quote unquote.
He could be. He's awesome, and I think he's electric and one of the freakiest athletes I've ever seen on a baseball field. I just don't think it happens.
That's fair. He's pretty young still, right?
I think the hype exceeds how good he actually is.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Yeah. I don't know. People said that about Bobby Witt Jr. until about May or June of last year.
That's fair.
Yeah. I don't know. They won't be saying that in March. And on March 28th, Thursday, the Royals are opening against the Minnesota Twins. They play them again on Saturday after a day off, as is normal. Easter Sunday game against the Twins. Then they hit Baltimore for a series against the Orioles. We will be back next Tuesday to recap kind of the first week or so, first handful of days of Royals baseball that actually do matter a ton this regular season. Check out Joel's interview with JJ Piccolo, the Royals general manager. That is up right now up here on KC Sports Network. We are extremely grateful for you continuing to support the show, Emprise Bank for their continued support, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. Drop a review only if you like the show. Don't drop one if you don't. I'm just joking. All feedback is appreciated. But in all seriousness, been a long show. We'll be back next week. Thanks a lot, guys.